One of the great things about guitar is how expressive these things are. One of the better things about guitar is that you can find things that express anything. So the first expressive thing you can do with a guitar, first thing is your hands. The second thing is controls. And this led me to a deep rabbit hole. And where do these things come from? Why are there pots in guitars? What was the first guitar to have it? And what a rabbit. What a nonsensical rabbit hole to get into that is. So to start off with, early guitar comes around the time of the explosion of capabilities of electronics. Tail end of it, actually. But everything that happens to an electric guitar happened before the electric guitar exists, in things like telephones and radios and phonographs. The potentiometer, the technology for that conceptually existed in 1841, though it's said that the invention of it was in 1872 by Thomas Edison. And as we know about Thomas Edison, he is a charlatan in a time of charlatans. And if it said 1841, there was an idea behind it, odds are the invention of these by Edison is really a stolen patent. But what was the first guitar to have these? None of this is substantiated. I can't confirm any of it, but this is what the information I found was, which is in the late 20s, early 30s, guitar was becoming more prominent in bands, and they wanted to be louder because they couldn't get over a drummer. Doesn't that sound familiar? The rise of the Hawaiian lap steel, which is what this basically was used for, but that was played, as you see lap steel and pedal steel now, flat on your lap. So the idea of pickups and amplifying those acoustic guitars, people were ripping apart telephones and phonographs and sort of jamming anything they could to make a guitar loud, to amplify it, using radios and PAs and stuff, because the amplifier, the guitar amplifier, didn't exist yet, not until 1934. Which is why, interestingly, the first guitar, commercially, to have a pickup was the Stromberg Electro in 1928. It was an electromagnetic pickup, like these are, like most guitar pickups have been, but instead of mounting it to pick up the vibration of the string, so it was actually underneath the body, jammed up top, so that when the guitar moved, that's what you would hear. It did not have any controls on it. Then in 1931, Rickenbacker created the frying pan A22 lap steel electric guitar, which had a pickup, an electromagnetic pickup, and a single volume pot. Now, in 1930, the tone control was introduced to commercially available radio. Everything going on with amplification and electrification during this time is akin to technology and the internet from the 1990s till now. It was just exponential growth and innovation. It's maddening to try and delve into. 1935, we see the tone control on the Gibson EH 150. That had your volume and your tone. And from what I could find, is the first electrified instrument to have volume and tone. But then the next year, 1936, Gibson took that idea and put it on the ES, the Electric Spanish 150. And from what I can gather, that's the first commercially available guitar that had volume and tone controls. 1937, we saw the emergence of the first expression pedal. These were typically used by lap steel and pedal steel players as those instruments were becoming more popular and more in demand, and more demanding players demanding more of them. The first one was the Epiphone Tone Expressor in 1937, which was a volume and tone control in one. But the one that typically got used was the de-Armand volume. Ernie Ball still makes them today. This is a VP Junior passive volume pedal, and what a very simple thing these are. It's a piece of string attached at two ends of the foot treadle, a spring in the middle for resistance, and it just ties around a volume pot. That's it. It's one of these pots with a string on it. And that's all it is. So guitar evolved, and guitar playing evolved, and the concept of guitar music and popular music evolved. And then in 1966, we see the Thomas Organ Company, on utilizing the name Vox, create the wah wah. Contrary to popular belief, is not made for trombone players, but it is named after the sound of a trombone mute going wah wah, a thing that has existed since the 20s, but it was not designed for trombone. It was not named. It was, despite being named for trombonist Clyde McCoy, was it trombone or trumpet? Whatever. Horn player Clyde McCoy. It had nothing to do with horn. It was simply to get that wah-wah sound to an electrified instrument, notably the guitar. Before the wah, there was wah sounds on records, which happened to be people like Chet Atkins, taking the expression pedals of the day, modifying them, and giving them that tone rolling quack that the wah has. There's the history lesson done. So what is it about this sort of foot-based expression thing? I have several on this board. I have the Ernie Ball Expression Tremolo, which I have set in the harmonic setting. Fantastic thing. I have now this Old Blood Noise Endeavors slider, which says in the pamphlet not to be used with your feet, but that didn't say that on the site I bought it from. Whoops. I guess I'm going to use that till it breaks. I have that connected to the Chase Bliss Mood to do some weird and funky crap. And there's other things like your volume pedals, your wah-wahs, the whammy, infamously the whammy, the Rotovibe, any sort of small plug-in expression outlet for your delays or any modulation effects, momentary switches, non-latching switches, the mash switch from TC Electronics, which allows you to do various different functions, holds, swells, etc., usually via algorithms in your delays, reverbs, and whatever effects. And all of that stuff is inspiring stuff. It takes the instrument from a focused playing situation to an unfocused soundscape.